Donald Trump has nominated some people who, may have strong qualities as far as for the positions that he's nominated them for. And then he's nominated some people who may not be as strong for the position that he is nominating them for or placing them in. But this guy, you heard the term radical Islamic jihadist terrorist. I don't use the term, but you've heard of that term. Well, for this guy, we need to coin a new term. Radical Catholic terrorist. Why do I say that? Well, most of you, or some of you, hopefully know that Catholics consider the use of birth control or contraceptive to be a sin. And obviously, they consider abortions to be a sin. Well, I guess this guy believes the same thing, and he wants to take it a step further. He wants to take it to the point that an employer, if he finds out that a woman is using contraception and or has had an abortion, he wants to make it legal for an employer to be able to fire her. Check this out.
Obviously, one of the main sticking points is whether or not contraception coverage is going to be covered under health insurance plans and at hospitals, and whether or not they're going to be able to pay for it, especially for low-income women, right? I guess where do we leave these women if this rule is rescinded?
Bring me one woman who's been left behind. Bring me one. There's not one.
Congressman Tom Price of Georgia, now slated to be Secretary of Health and Human Services in the incoming presidential administration. Joining us now for her take on this is Nancy Northup. She's President and CEO of the Center for Reproductive Rights. Nancy, it's nice to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Planned Parenthood has put out a statement in opposition, sort of an alarmed statement in opposition to Congressman Price being slated for the HHS job. Do you have a reaction to the nomination?
Well, it is an alarming nomination. I mean, Health and Human Services exists as an agency to promote the well-being and health of the American people. And President-elect Trump has just nominated someone who wants to take away health care, not provide it. As you pointed out in your earlier segment, he is against the Affordable Care Act. And that has really important provisions for women. The no copay contraceptive provision, the no pre-existing conditions means, they can't bar you from pregnancy coverage if you've, had a C-section. And the fact that women can't be charged more than men for their insurance. He wants to take that away. He wants to defund Planned Parenthood, a place that millions of women a year go to get birth control, to get STD testing, to get cancer screening. He's about taking away health care, not promoting it, and it makes him an inappropriate choice.
Well, he says that what he proposes is basically a market-based alternative approach to meeting the country's health care needs. He thinks that Obamacare is a disaster. He says the Affordable Care Act, all the things went wrong with it that he said would go wrong with it, and he thinks that his proposal for replacing it is something that will suit the country better. Do you see any room for working with him in terms of what he's proposed for replacing Obamacare? He is one of the people who says he has a replacement.
He has demonstrated that he doesn't understand the reality of women's lives. So when he makes the comment that no woman can't afford birth control, that's just simply not true. I mean, under the Affordable Care Act, with the no copay for contraception, a huge increase of women who are in insurance programs that are private are now able to get no copay. Things that are expensive, like IUDs, very effective long-term contraceptions, out of reach for many women without that no copay provision. So he doesn't even understand the reality of women's lives. He's also, of course, very anti-choice. He doesn't accept the Constitution, which protects women's rights. Just won a Supreme Court case 4 months ago that said women have to have access to safe and legal abortion, and the government can't use fake reasons to take it away. And so it is very alarming to have somebody appointed to be Secretary of Health and Human Services who would like to take away that constitutional right of women.
One of the things on which he is kind of, I don't want to describe him as out there on a limb, because I think a lot of the Republican conference is moving this way, but he has said that employers should be able to fire you if your employer learns that you have had an abortion, or if your employer learns that you are using birth control and your employer disapproves of that for whatever reason. Is that something on which you expect to actually have to be litigating? Is that something where you expect them to actually move? Or is that a fantasy on the right?
Well, I would hopefully it's not something that they would try to do. I mean, for heaven's sakes, discriminating about health care that only women need is clearly sex discrimination. I mean, women have worked long and hard to be in the workforce, to be able to control their reproductive lives. And the notion that their employers can fire them for their choices about family planning is simply outrageous.
Nancy Northup, President and CEO of the Center for Reproductive Rights. Thank you.
Yeah, see, that's called radical Catholic terrorism, and that's what this guy would love to put in place. So, again, I don't know where Trump is pulling these guys from, and I don't know how much research he's actually done on their positions on various things, but this one is out there in left field somewhere, and it's so far out in left field, it's past the foul pole.